Welcome back to GMP Scenario, presented by PharmaContentLabs.com.
All right, let's talk about a problem that, let's be honest, has probably kept a lot of us up at night. You've done everything right. You've followed every single step, closed out your corrective action, and you think, phew, done. But then, wham, the exact same failure comes roaring right back. So let's get into why this happens and, more importantly, how to stop that cycle for good. So let's just picture the scene, right? Your corrective and preventative action, your CAPA, it's finally closed. Every box is ticked, every action is marked complete. You can finally breathe that sigh of relief. But then, maybe a few months down the line, you get that email, that notification. The same failure, the same deviation has just happened again. So you have to ask yourself, what on earth went wrong here? This isn't just a bad day at the office. It's a predictable and incredibly frustrating cycle. And what's so important to get is that we're not talking about a similar problem. No. This is the same failure mode happening at the exact same step. This timeline really just lays it all out. The system said everything was fine, but the root of the problem was clearly never, ever solved. So let's just be crystal clear about this. This isn't a fluke. It's not bad luck. When the exact same deviation comes back, that is a direct signal. By definition, it is a failure of the original corrective action. Plain and simple. So what do we actually mean by a CAPA failure? Well, here's the formal definition. It basically means your action didn't actually control the root cause, and that recurring problem, well, that's your proof. But the most critical part of this is that last sentence. Prevention must be demonstrated. See, it's not enough to just say you fixed it, your system has to prove it. And a repeat failure is the ultimate proof that it just didn't happen. Okay, so a problem came back. It might seem like, all right, another thing for the to-do list. Just a simple annoyance we have to fix again. But no. The stakes here are incredibly high. This is what you'd call a 5-alarm fire for your quality system. And here's why. A recurring deviation is like a giant flashing neon sign pointing at your whole system. It shows a fundamental weakness in how you solve problems, and crucially, it's an immediate trigger for inspectors to escalate their scrutiny. It just completely undermines their confidence in your entire quality system. I mean, think about it. If you can't even fix a problem you already know about, what else might you be missing? And this quote right here, it perfectly captures how a regulator thinks. When an inspector sees a problem that's come back, they won't just ask what you did about it. The very first thing they will demand is proof that your actions were effective. The recurrence itself is proof that they weren't, and that, well, that puts your entire system right under the microscope. Okay, I know that all sounds pretty intense, but here is the good news. There is a clear, structured way to recover from this. This isn't about just patching up the old solution. It's about a complete do-over, but with a much, much more rigorous approach. So let's walk through the 3-step fix. Here they are, the 3 steps, and really, these are non-negotiable. First, you have to officially reopen the original CAPA. You need to acknowledge the failure in your system and start digging into the data. Second, you have to verify the true root cause. I mean, obviously, the first investigation wasn't good enough. You have to go way deeper, get more evidence, look at all the contributing factors. And finally, step 3, you redesign the CAPA from the ground up, this time focusing on much, much stronger controls. So, what does a stronger control actually look like? This slide draws a perfect line in the sand. Weak controls, things like sending out reminders or retraining people on the exact same procedure, they're easy, but they are totally ineffective. The real fix is in strong controls. We're talking about things like error-proofing or poka-yoke, this great concept of designing a process so that mistakes are physically impossible. Like a USB cable that can only be plugged in one way. You're building the right action directly into the system to literally engineer the problem out of existence. And, of course, you absolutely have to document everything. When that inspector comes back, you can't just say, "Don't worry, we fixed it." You have to prove it. This checklist is your proof. You need evidence of the reoccurrence, a gap analysis of the original CAPA, your revised plan with those stronger controls, and, this part is critical, new measurable targets to prove that this time it is really, truly fixed. Okay, so now that we know the right way to fix a CAPA failure, we have to talk about the single most common and, honestly, the most destructive mistake that organizations make when this happens. And there it is. The number one wrong move is to point the finger right back at the same people. The temptation is just so strong to say, well, we trained them, they just didn't follow the procedure. This is a trap, and trust me, inspectors can see right through that excuse.
So here's the crucial point. We have to completely reframe our thinking on this. A recurring deviation is the ultimate final proof that the system failed the employee. The procedure, the tools, the process, whatever it was, it allowed the failure to happen again. It is always the organization's responsibility to build a better system, not to just demand perfection from its people.
And that really leaves us with one final and pretty provocative question to think about. Take a good hard look at your own system, your own procedures. Are they truly designed to identify and eliminate the root causes of problems for good? Or have they just become a bureaucratic exercise designed simply to get the paperwork closed and filed away? The answer to that question will determine whether your next CAPA is a permanent solution, or if it's just the prequel to another failure.
Thank you for watching. If this helped, like and subscribe. More GMP scenarios coming.